light or in the dark? Okay, we'll get going here. I think I know almost everybody here, but I'm Kendall House from the Anthropology Department. And it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Yuan-Hung Lee. And Ian is an Anglicization of Wuhan, which is hard for English speakers to say. It's in the very, very difficult category. So that's why we use Ian. Dr. Lee's a visiting scholar in anthropology this year. Most of you know who are in the class he's been sitting in on Mondays. And he comes to us from Taiwan. And Dr. Lee is a member of the Amish people, one of 16 federally recognized indigenous peoples who descend from the original inhabitants of Taiwan, who've been there for several thousand years. The Amish people number about 200,000, and indigenous Taiwanese about 600,000, but there's 24 million people in Taiwan. So 98% of the population is Han Chinese, and that maybe simplifies a little, but it's similar to the ratio of Native Americans to non-Native Americans in the United States, 98%. The Amish and other indigenous Taiwanese are trying to keep their languages alive. And as Dr. Lee will discuss today, linguists classify their languages as Austronesian. And Austronesian languages had the widest geographical dispersion of any languages prior to the European seaborne empires. So from a hearth around insular Southeast Asia, and actually Taiwan is considered the hearth that leads to that. There's a, let me get my directions right, there's an eastward sweep to Hawaii, and then a westward sweep across the Indian Ocean to Madagascar. So you have the Indian Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, insular Southeast Asia, and geographically that's the widest spread family of languages. So like indigenous peoples elsewhere, cultural survival is a real struggle, and language loss is at the center of that. And Dr. Lee's work focuses on language revitalization. So with that,
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming, team, and thank you for attending my presentation on Taiwan native language. My indigenous name is Xingu Lawai, and my Chinese name is Yuan-Hung Lee, and my English name is Ian, so I call me Ian, it's very easy for you. I'm studying to be a part of Anthropology Department at Boise State University. And today I will talk to you about a study of Taiwan native language teachers teaching by integrated technology. The title of my presentation is Indigenous Language Teachers in Technology-Rich Classroom in Taiwan. Okay. I've divided my presentation into 3 parts. I'm going to start with the instruction of Taiwan native language and myself. And the second part is quantitative research. I use the statistical analysis to evaluate the native language teachers' technology instruction ability. And finally, I will talk about qualitative study to examine their preparation and the challenge they face. Okay. Okay. Instruction. That's my name, and I'm Taiwan indigenous Amish. Okay, that's my traditional dressing. My PhD is in e-learning and graduate from National Jiao Tong University in Taiwan in 2020. My academic interest is learning technology, and native language and cultural education, and identity education, and internet, multiculturalism, yes. If you look at the slide, we will be very familiar with Taiwan as is near the Chinese mainland. Okay, so, and this map shows Mandarin is a predominant language in Taiwan. You can see the left, almost people use Mandarin because past 30 years the Chinese Mandarin is official language, and the right is the native language, but not include indigenous language. We still have the Minnan Hokkien language and Hakka language. So can they help me to show this slide on the right on the internet? Yeah, so maybe you can see. I'm trying to translate in English, so that's very easy for you. Yeah, so you can see in Taiwan the native language. Sometimes many people feel maybe will be disappeared. So that's, you can see the map. Okay, and this map shows that the southern Min and the Hakka, the two languages, it belongs to a Sino-Tibetan language family and both native language in Taiwan. So I showed two native language, and the green is the Solomon language, and the other name is Hokkien. Yeah, that's very difficult for you, pronunciation. And the blue is for the Hakka language. So besides indigenous, we have two native language in Taiwan. And so this slide shows the Solomon language and Hakka language use the data, and the video explains the Semitic language are the most dominant language family spoken in Taiwan.
你好，你好，你好.
Hello, Anne here. How are you? Let's talk about the Semitic languages of Taiwan. The Semitic languages are the most dominant language family spoken in Taiwan. Mandarin is commonly known and officially referred to as the national language in Taiwan. In 1945, following the end of World War II, Mandarin was introduced as the de facto official language and made compulsory in schools. Before 1945, Japanese was the official language and taught in schools. Since then, Mandarin has been established as a lingua franca, commonly known as Taiwanese and officially referred to as Taiwanese Hokkien. It is the most spoken native language in Taiwan, spoken by about 70% of the population. Linguistically, it is a subgroup of the Southern Min languages variety, originating in Southern Fujian province and is spoken by many overseas Chinese throughout Southeast Asia. Hakka is mainly spoken in Taiwan by people who have Hakka ancestry. These people are concentrated in several places throughout Taiwan. The majority of Hakka Taiwanese reside in Taoyuan, Hsinchu, and Miaoli. Varieties of Taiwanese Hakka were officially recognized as national languages. The government currently recognizes and maintains 5 Hakka dialects. 6 Ossetian and South Ossetian are counted independently in Taiwan. In the next part, let's hear the beautiful sounds of their languages.
一、
一、
二、
二、
三、
三、
四、
四、
五、
五、
六、
六、
七、
七、
八、
八、
九、
九、
十、十。人人生而自由，在尊严和权利上一律平等。他们富有理性和良心，并应以兄弟关系的精神相对待。人人心意自由，在尊严和权利上 一律平等，因富有理性甲良心，并应该以兄弟关系的精神相对待。
人人生于自由，伫尊严老权利上一概平等。记得富有理性老良心，并应当用兄弟关系嘅精神互相对待。
我们在天上的父，愿人都尊你的名为圣。
阮伫天里的爸，愿你的名圣。
愿你伫天堂嘅阿爸，愿大家都尊你嘅名为圣。
愿你的国降临，愿你的旨意行在地上，如同行在天上。
你的国临到，你的旨意得成，伫地里亲像伫天里。
愿你嘅国降临，愿你嘅旨意得上，在世间亲像伫天堂。
我们日用的饮食，今日赐给我们。
你好，你好，你好。Hello.
Okay, so that is Taiwanese and Hokkien and Hakka. The language is very different, and we can see this map shows the southern mean. Okay, the next line explains the Taiwanese indigenous language. They are both native language in Taiwan and belong to Austronesian language family. And you can see I marked this language still speaking in Taiwan. And so the figure displays the global migration of Austronesian people, highlighting the roots of the date known as the time. So you can find its purpose to illustrate the 5,000 years expansion of Austronesian speaking people from the focal region in the mainland southeast and Asia, Chile, Colombia in the east, and Madagascar in the west, and the south is New Zealand. So they're very huge. Yeah. Okay. And it divides into several categories: Austronesian and Malayo-Polynesian, Indo-Melanesian, Malayo-Polynesian, Indo-Melanesian, and the nuclear MP. And I try to know what's MP. Okay, so that is nuclear Malayo-Polynesian language and different area. So that's very. So I still prepare indigenous language. This video explains Austronesian language such as Amis in Taiwan and belong to San Austronesian language family as those spoken in other areas.
Amis, Filipino, Indonesian, Malagas, Hawaiian.
Satsai,
Isa,
Satu,
Iray,
Ekai,
Tusa,
Dalawa,
dua,
Ru,
Elua,
Tolu,
Tatlo,
tiga,
Telu,
Ekolu,
Sepat,
Apat,
empat,
Efatra,
Eha,
Lima,
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 Timi,
Elima,
Enam,
Anim,
enam,
Emina,
Eono,
Pito,
Pito,
tujuh,
Fitu,
Ehiko,
Walu,
Walo,
delapan,
Falu,
Evalu,
Siwa,
Sham,
sembilan,
Sivi,
Eva,
Polo, Moktab,
Sampu,
sepuluh,
Fulu,
Umi,
Wama niyami kakarayan, nanay mapahamag kunikapang tsarno ngangan iso.
Ama namin, sumasalangit ka, sambahin ang ngalan mo.
Bapa kami yang ada di surga, dimuliakanlah
nawamu.
Rainai saya nendant. Wamasina niya naranaw.
E ko makua I loko kalani. E hoano ia ko inoa.
Nanay talakar ko ikuan iso. Tamatia o ikalachi no. Naparotsoan iso I kakarayan ko ikalachi no. Naparotsoan iso itini I hakar.
Mapasa amin ang kaharian mo. Sundin ang loob mo dito sa lupa para ng sa langit.
Datanglah kerajaanmu, jadilah kehendakmu di atas bumi seperti di dalam surga.
Utungan yan fanzakanaw. Atawan yan sitapunaw itiantan tak nyanindant.
Ihiki mai ko apuni. E maalama ia ko maki mapagumuane. Iliki me ia I maalama ia makalani la.
Amis, Filipino, Indonesian.
Okay, I think more you maybe make sense about the native language include Hokkien and Southmin and Hakka and Indigenous language. So this part I show the Taiwanese native language online material, and that is Taiwan's Hokkien language, and I find some. Okay. There's a spelling, there's a Mandarin, there's English. Yeah, so noodles. And so, our government and our education system, and we made many material like this, and this is Hakka material. Okay, only Mandarin. I'm sorry.
唔知走嘛？
It means, did you eat breakfast yet? Yes, so there's more conversation for the native language, and that is indigenous language online materials, and try to show the dialogue like this. Okay, for classroom dialogue. Okay, because we have a different system, tribe groups, so even I and Banza and Min is recent indigenous group, but we still have a 5 accents. Yeah. Okay. So if you have chance can see it. So hello everyone, here we go. Nai ho mean hello, Mabrong is mean everyone. So like this. Katumila is mean stand up, Midao is mean salute. Yes. Hello. Stinsi is come from Japanese, it means teacher. Yes. It means sit down, please.
Anuni aromias o pakaini ai ino kakanen o sapakapana no singsi.
So you can see we try to make many online material to keep the language, and you can see even the story animation. Okay, maybe I find shoot. Okay, like this.
Uya purawan atau siraan satu naikuran no saripa no ya taangayay atam tao. Tengah ai, pada yang kita komira, hai. Apa? Leparan. Uya taangayay asaripa satu sahi uno amini ay to motor ato sanayasay.
Okay, that's a very old story, and we are gonna get in the same website. Okay, so this section. So I just finished my introduction of the native language in Taiwan, and this section will present you quantitative research, analyze, and evaluate statistic data. But I just explain very easily and as what affect their readiness to check in technology-rich classroom. You know, we prepare more technology material and we should take to improve native language, but I'm sure to study about native language teachers. And first, according to UNESCO, there are 8 vulnerable and 1 definitely endangered, 2 severely endangered, 5 critical endangered, and 9 extinct language. So 30 years ago, scholars predict that about 90% of the human language will be server extension in the 21st century. And ecological biodiversity is essential for the substantial development of the Earth, and the linguistic diversity in the human civilization is also significant. So UNESCO called for protection for the endangered language, leading to international effort to slow the rate of the language loss. And we currently know about native language teacher technology, pedagogical, and technology abbreviation TPAC. Minority language are taught in public school so that minority groups can learn both at home and at school. And to help people learn their heritage language, teaching models like language apprenticeship have been created. In other words, studies or teachers made tools to help kids to talk to their parents or grandparents. And a lively classroom for native language show cultural contest, celebrate diversity, and use multimedia resources. So in this present, we talk about Taiwanese native language teachers' knowledge in technology-rich classroom, and complement teach use the power of the social network science, online communications, and communities, and computer media communication to teach heritage language well. So to be complement in technology integrated classroom, a teacher must be confident in their content knowledge and technological knowledge, pedagogical knowledge. In other words, that TPAC which stand for technological, pedagogical, and technology. At the moment, there's not enough research for TPEC of Taiwan native language teachers in K-12 schools. However, some teachers with low confidence in these areas still serve as teacher staff in community centers, language campus, museums, and as a part-time school teachers. And it is worth nothing that the native language teachers in other languages, such as indigenous language, as well as certified teachers who teach native language, have not been studied in the past. And the goal of this study is to learn more about TPEC and of our native language teach for the national level. And research showed you can find a structure of TPEC. Research have found technological knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, and content knowledge all work together to help teachers to improve their pedagogical knowledge. That is, so you know, a little expression, content knowledge like cultural background, language background, and pedagogical knowledge is mean how to teach, how to use the language, the scholarship to let students know, and technological knowledge is mean how to use the computer, how to use the laptop to explain the material, to teach, and so they get to help teachers improve their pedagogical knowledge like this, and the technological content knowledge, TCK, and technological pedagogical knowledge, and which helps to improve all the TPEC. Yeah. And in the past decade, about over 300 papers were published in highly referenced journals. The majority of them were self-report surveys. And this signifies a key trend in the identification of TPEC among the cross-discipline teachers. And a few technology integrated models have been developed based on TPEC, including expand pedagogical technology design model or Web Point 2 learning design framework, and the scaffold TPEC learning design model, and the universal design for the learning TPEC model. So difference in TPEC among the teacher profiles such as gender, age, and years of teaching experience, and have been widely researched in relationship in domain-specific TPEC, such as math and science. Evaluation still studies assessing the appreciation of the TPEC model across disciplines, such as suggested domain-specific revisions based on the teacher cohort. Additional the strength of research or unprofessional development in technology integrate has uncovered key personal and contextual factors that affect teachers' interaction in technology competence such as knowledge, attitude, belief, troubleshooting, support, leadership buy-in, and the parental cooperation. So this study questions threefold. The first is the adapted survey and reliable instrument for measuring the TPEC of Taiwanese native language teachers. And the second, what is the TPEC profile of Taiwanese native language teachers? And third, how do Taiwanese native language teachers' backgrounds relative to their TPEC? So this research question serves their motivation for conducting this study. And the slide shows the structural model of the TPEC construction. It's a theoretical struct. Yeah. So, regarding the development instrument, we used TPEG as a foundation and create Taiwan's native language teacher TPEG survey instrument. We employed a 3-round Delphi technique involving 11 professionals from the area of the native language and teacher education and education technology. And the final instrument comprises 37 items on a 6-point scale. Okay. About participants and data collection, we received 522 varied questionnaire, and you can see we defined gender, language, religion, regions, age, education level, teacher experience, teaching load by week, and daily usage of computers in native language teaching, and participant in TPEG workshop, and there is any IT equipment available in classroom, and members online, professional, department, community, and teacher reels. And but mostly is more teacher is part-time teacher. Yeah. Okay, but we after studies analyzed it, and we just erase unuseful item. We find this schedule model of this study. It's just for Taiwan native language teacher. Yes, you can see there is a theoretical structure, but you can see, yeah, just remember technological knowledge, yeah. Okay, so so the median model is mean the PCK. It means combine how to teach, use the culture, use the language, mean PCK, based on the CK and PK. But more native language teacher, they just think how to use the technological is most important, and it may just a little in fact all how to use the tech to teach the native language or culture. Yeah. So that is okay. So the median models produce a better fit than the non-median model. The result reveals PCK to be the moderate of CK and PK toward TPACK, TPEG. The passenger discussed the finding of a study on the TPEG knowledge of the native language teachers and offers a suggestion for future research and the teacher education program. The study found the native language teachers' knowledge can be mapped into the 5 key components like this, just 5, not 7. The basic is 7, the theoretical is 7, but in fact, native language teachers just have 5. Yeah. And with the PCK serving as a critical bridge between the TPACK and CKPK, and the middle-aged native language teachers and those who teach more hours per week had a weaker effect on PK toward PCK, but stronger effect on CK toward PCK. The study suggests that teacher education program for native language teachers should be focused on integrating technology instruction and development of their TPEG knowledge. So future research should be considered culture as a part of the CK, TCK, and BCK in TPEG assessment of native language teachers in line with the new curriculum guidelines. So finally, we conducted another study on the Chinese teacher TPEG in Taiwan. You can see, so that's very different, clear difference between the Mandarin and the native language in Taiwan. So I think this is very interesting. Sorry. Okay. Next This session will present a quantitative research exercise and involve the interview data. And one person, the broader course in the native language teacher in technology-rich classroom. Yeah. So the change in the landscape of Taiwan's native language education has been emphasized by government from the 1987 until last year. And you can find from lifting for the material law in Taiwan, and we started to make a curriculum, have a council, and for our education system, we have a curriculum, and really luckily and symbolized that we have a development of National Language Act. It means not Mandarin, include the Salmin and Hakka and all the indigenous native language and Han language is official language in Taiwan. Yeah, so that's need to teach all the students to learn the native language. And technological advanced motive teacher to create an interactive, authentic, and engaged learning environment, and the capability of technology to have language learning and has been recognized, repeated among countries. However, challenges still remain around the issue of liberating the benefit of a technology-enhanced classroom, requiring a depth and analysis of teachers' competence in teaching with technology. And native language teachers have seen value in integrating technology in heritage language classroom. So maybe from the technology for learning and e-learning trend and all the for the device in the school, and teacher need to more training and join more workshop. So they still have a lag for paper teacher development. Yeah. So teacher become the transformative intelligence. They will understand the nature of their own self-formation and have a future see the importance of education as a public discourse and have some sense of mission in providing students which they need to become a critical citizen. So language is inspirable from lived experience and from how people created a distinctive voice. And teachers have a mission to transmit this culture to students in the hope that it will be the offset those cultural forms reproduce on the trends of a population culture and dominating class experience. So this study research question has threefold. First, how did a native language teacher integrate teacher in native language instruction? And second, how did a native language teacher struggle with implement technological in native language instruction? And third, how did a native language teacher propose their solution to be perceived obstacle? And how did they solution relative boundary pedagogy? So this slide is list of indigenous teachers. There are two elementary school teacher, and that's their teaching experience, their degree, and real relative experience. And that is a participant of Hakka, and yeah. So that still, and this is the Solomon again, and a 5. So we conducted semi-structured interviews with 15 teachers via online platform, and with each interview at least 90 minutes, and we also provide online certification through the chat, like you use a Facebook message or like WeChat, WhatsApp, yeah. So this is coding step. We from the open coding, actual coding, selective coding always force what happened in your native language teaching experience. So to the step top for on the methodology, we integration the three core viewpoint, and we try to know the insider and the outsider perspective, and we try to write into comprehension. And we used the software for the data analysis. This is use the authorities to analyze, so we can collect the different thoughts, integrate to our thinking and our study. And we discovered several findings in this study, like a state of the art in the technological native language instruction and technological struggle in native language teacher practice. And the third, need to mature state, sports, and so what the native language teacher position and the solution to the obstacles. So it's more easy to understand. What are they doing? The answer includes the use of technology as scaffolding and media display and assessment tools. And native language teachers use technology in the classroom. So they are real source and need to integrate technology, so they like one-person armies, often feel burned out, face the technology use dilemmas, or whether to promote or worry, and have key performance indicator KPIs. Because a government buy most like iPad. My school have maybe 500 iPad for all the children, but more teachers maybe don't know how to use it to teach. Yeah, native language teachers struggle with the difficulties, including the use of technology to boost motivation. They often work alone and wonder what is next. So some teachers have teach over 12 part-time courses at different schools, and they experience the gap between like urban and tribal areas. So then making teaching material is like finding a needle in a haystack. So what should a native language teacher do now? They should be built on an echo chamber where the novice native language teacher can be easily learn how to use the technology, and they should be used technology that does not require any help from anyone else, and have a fixed classroom with a personal computer or laptop to understand how to use it. So, despite the education ministry mandating only one weekly native language class, research suggested that teachers trained in technology can be effectively extended in learning opportunity for his student and their students, making it worthwhile to explore technological potential by both synchronous and asynchronous learning. And about connect native content, pedagogical, and technology, native language teacher must acknowledge that technology has been changed to use the mother tongue, require consideration for proficiency in selecting appreciated technology. And technology should be added in understanding culture and perceiving the stories of the early. While technology can be enrich culture material, it should be not replace its better to teacher. Empowering native language education with culturally aware technologies. These involve not only teaching native language using technology, but also establish new culture, communication method, and content. So technology can be connect individuals who share the life, belief, and value that native language teacher prepares. This slide, although the technology may make teaching easier and engage students in daily practice, native language teachers still struggle to represent their ethnic and cultural identity in the online world due to the inherited technical method among the teachers. And the native language teacher view the technology more as a solution to individual teaching practice rather than as a means to achieve aesthetic and cultural liberation in the school. Okay, finally, despite facing a new challenge with technology, native language teacher have preserved through exacting difficulties in native language education. They have burned the weight of dangerous memories, grew up with operation, documented and protest against such aberration, and the development of language instruction and perspective to hope. So native language have accomplished many unnotified feats that make all the difference in their children learning and for the native language. So that's my presentation, and so do you have any question? Is it okay? So thank you for your listening, and thank you so much. I'm very glad to share my study, and I very, very like in Boise because Candale team or all you guys is very kindly and friendly. So thank you so much. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, so the one slide said half of the teachers are 50 years old and older.
One slide? Which one?
Yeah, back near the beginning, I think.
Beginning.
For that.
This?
I didn't get the number, I'm sorry.
I think it was the one with the demographics of like their age and teaching experience. It was like a chart in the middle of the presentation.
Which one?
Yeah, I was just wondering about, you know, I'm older, but as you get older, sometimes learning new technologies can get harder. And so I just noted that half of the teachers were over 50, and also I think it said only 20% were Indigenous.
Okay.
And so 80% of the teachers are not Indigenous teachers. Is that?
That or?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, it's that one.
Yeah, it's been, okay. List surveyed from our government, but this is, I remember maybe, okay, 2010, They did that maybe 10 years ago, and like in USA, most communication always in English, right? Yes, especially like for Native American, when I joined the 7 Aero, I just hear a little native language, right? Like opening or ending, and because the history, from the 1949 and 1949, and 1949, the KMT retreated from main China, and they made the law to need to speak Mandarin to all the from the elementary school students. I remember my parents told me when they was a kids, they be elementary school student. If they speak in native language, they will get punished. Punishment in school, maybe maybe a word need to speak in Chinese, need to speak in Mandarin, and maybe I remember my auntie told me her classmate when she was a junior school student, her classmate speak native language, they need to have a fine in the school. So I think maybe sometimes as time goes by and many people know the native language is very unique in Taiwan, and sometimes maybe can distinguish from China. So native languages get more important in Taiwan right now. But that's my personal opportunity. So that's why most the east of Taiwan use the indigenous language, and the green most in the Hokkien gets some sort of mean. So more friends in Taiwan, maybe from different countries, YouTubers they very like to learn to native language because they go to the south of Taiwan, they can get more attention. So that's very interesting. But I think maybe we try to keep the traditional language that maybe someday we keep the culture is very, very important. When you see the Hokkien or Southern Mindanao language, honestly, I can speak the Southern Mindanao language in Taiwan, so I can hear. We have many video or journal on TV, but actually the main China the language accent is very different in China, different from Taiwan. So even we can saw some video on the TikTok or on the YouTube, we can still know all that from China. Yes, and the language use style is very different. So that's very interesting. Australian language, some linguists they think maybe Taiwan is the origin from the Australasian because that's not because you can see from the geography, Taiwan is is north of all the area. And this video,
Philippines.
When you see the number 5 or Lima in Hawaii, so that's why Australian nation they always say Lima. Lima is 5 and it means hands. Yes, one hands. So that's very interesting. And the other words, I is called the pronunciation is mata. So in Amis, we call it eyes in Mata. So even go to the Maori of the New Zealand, they still call it Mata. So that's very interesting. Yeah. So but I'm not focused for the linguist in my research. I just focus on the technology and the language teaching. Yeah. So that's my answer. Yeah.
How are the teachers pretty responsive to open to using the technology in their classrooms?
This need to depend on the different situation of different school. Because our Ministry of Education, they ask more. Every student need to in Taiwan from kindergarten to 12th grade, student need to learn Mandarin, English, and the third is native language or migrated language. Maybe native language has 3, and the migrated language come from Indonesia or Thailand. Kids they need to learn. So we still prepare the teacher let the student. When every semester, parents need to choose the language kids to learn. Yeah. So Tim, you ask how preparation. I need to say there's a different situation between the schools, because some schools very rich for technology, especially for urban. But for a tribe, they still maybe have many money from government, but they just force for like a traditional activity, like to harvesting, to hunting. So they maybe not to prepare to in technology for teaching. Yeah, that's a real situation. Yeah.
Yeah, you also just mentioned something about there being more than one indigenous language in an area.
Yeah.
How is that managed in the classroom? You said maybe do the students or the students and their parents choose which language they're going to focus on, or?
Okay. In fact, because most Asian very focused on degree, so native language is not very focused on our school, especially for parents. Besides, some parents are very forced treasure their traditional culture, but most time we just need to most parents they just forced to Mandarin and English. Yes, but our government still make some laws, like we have a language test for native language like TOEFL or IELTS in Taiwan. So we have Solomon, Hokkien, and Hakka and Indigenous language test every year. Yeah, and the student pass the test, they will get more honor of education. Yeah, maybe get more chance to into the good school or nicer school. Yeah. So. Thank you. Hi.
Hi, Dr. Lee. Thank you for the awesome presentation. I'm curious, have you seen students in Taiwan interact with the educational technology that you showed us, just in language learning? What's your experience been with seeing them in the classroom?
Okay. Maybe I can find my video when I teach the student.
I like your computer background.
Oh, thank you. I still find my video. Because we have many digital materials, so I ever teach the student use the iPad, because my school not in a tribe, we just in a urban, and we don't have too much indigenous language, indigenous students. Yes, but maybe I can find. Okay. Sorry, maybe need to some time. I'm not sure, but sorry. We have time to, okay, I'm just sure the reading for students. Okay, this is kids. Before. We try to speak in
爱好信息，爱好影像，大家自在加固。安尼呢，我稍是恩嘛固，大家多路。
Okay, every year our government, our Ministry of Education, they have a competition like for native language, but unfortunately most indigenous students can't speak, so they need to, like me, to need a draft to speak in Mandarin, the native language. Okay. So very tribally teacher. Sorry, can't. So every year, our indigenous language teacher or native language teacher, they still spend more time to train students to join the competence for join the all country competence. So the real thing is like this. So and all the video like this. That's why the what I collected for all teachers. They need to teach student, the training student, yeah. And maybe I try to find my instruction video, yeah. Okay, fine. I just find my video. Now that's me. I just have 6 students, and I use the iPad to teach. Okay, maybe I just use the iPad to teach. Use the material to learn the indigenous language in Taiwan. And yeah, you can see the students very, yeah, like a monkey, making stable, yeah. So I just explain and how to use, and then maybe they can go to which website to training their indigenous language. So they can focus.
中的意思。巴奈是什么？巴奈是稻子那个。
I mean, for you is like wind, banana is the rice. Yeah, but that maybe 5 or 7 years ago. Yeah. Okay. So that's my teacher. And so, do you have any questions?
Thank you for pulling up those videos.
Oh.
That was really cool to see you.
Yeah, okay, and Dr. Candel want me to explain. I joined the Power Day. That's very interesting. And I showed that's in Taiwan. Did you every motion have its meaning. Let us get some fruits from the tree. That's weaving. Doesn't mean weaving. Yeah. That's a dancing for my friend's daughter's wedding. Yeah. And that's my festival in Taiwan. Need to drink rice wine. Yeah. So that's my presentation. I hope you get more information from Taiwanese language education. And thank you so very much. Thank you. Okay. So, yep.
I guess it's kind of random, but thank you for working with children.
Yes, thank you. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, that was fun.